Welcome back to Matrix Exploit, everyone. Hope you are doing well in your Linux session, your Linux series, whatever you are following my pattern, my teaching pattern. I hope you are liking that pattern. So in today's session, we are going to cover all the basics of how to create a user, how to create group, how to add a user into a group, how to change the owner of a particular file. Okay, so without wasting our time, let's get started. From now onwards, we are going to use Parrot OS because I have directly booted into the Parrot OS. This is my Parrot OS. Windows T will show me the terminal. Windows T is the shortcut for turning on your terminal. To confirm which OS I'm using, so I have to cat the file which is in etc directory /etc/os-release. So here you are seeing Parrot Security, this version I am using. Okay, so let's get started. This is my desktop here and this is my terminal. So as usual, we are going to do like this only. Here is your graphical version and here it will be your command line version. Here is your GUI, here is your CLI. So let's start. First of all, to create a user, you have to have root permission. Then only you will be able to create any user or to modify or to make some changes into the user. Only then you will be able to modify the user or create a user. I'll quickly switch to root user, and how you can switch to the root user, you have to type sudo, then su, enter. Then you have to give the current user password. So I'm going to give the current user password, and yes, I'm inside the root user. Let's add a particular user. How you can add user, and then you have to type the user name. In my case, I'll take it as test. We'll take it as test. So it's adding user. See, all lines are giving each and every details. Add new group, add new user, creating home directory, copying files to home /etc skel. So basically a basic skeleton is there. When you create any type of user, at that time a skeleton is being copied from a particular directory. So that skeleton, a pre-made skeleton, we are going to see that thing. So the pre-made skeleton is copied from this directory /etc/skel. From there it is being copied. So now I'll set the password as 1234. Full name, I'll put it as test. Room number, home, phone, other, I'll keep it as it is, leaving it blank. Yes, this information is correct. Great. So this user has been added. So how I can switch to that user? Su is the command to switch user, and then I have to type test, enter. Now see, as I am the root user, I have not been prompted to put the password of this test user. But let's consider, I'll move again back to my proxy user. So this is my proxy user. To get which user am I have to type who am I. So I'm currently now proxy user. So from here I'll try to switch to test user, the user which I have created from shifting to root user. From there I have created this test user. So I'll try to move inside test user from this proxy user. As proxy user is not a root user, so it should prompt me a password, right? So su and then test, enter, and yes, it has prompted me the password. So I'll type the password 1234, enter, and I am inside that su test user. If I execute the command who am I, so it is giving me test. So user has been created. Now we'll move back. I'll exit this user. So user has been created. Simple steps: add user and then username. User will be created. But the thing is that you should be a root user. Or the another way you can add the user into your system is executing any command with sudo command in front of it. So what is this sudo command? Sudo command gives you permission. Sudo user gives you the power of root user. So sudo user, that sudo command, that sudo word will give you the power of root user. Now if we execute any command with sudo in front of it, so it will be executed as a root user is executing it. So how we can do? So we can do it like sudo test1. Okay, this user I want to add. So command is add user space test1. Sudo add user test1. Enter. So it's taking this thing. Now I'll put the password as same 1234. Again, I'll put the password 1234 and I'll give the name as test1. Enter, enter, enter. And yes, so this has also created. Now where we can check how many users we have created, what are the users present in this particular system, we can check it with cat/etc/password. This file contains all the details of which users are there on this system, and it is giving me the output as like this. I'll just make it a big screen so that you'll be able to see it. Great. Okay, I'll do it again, cat and then /etc/password. So here you're seeing all this stuff. Well, what does it mean? Each and every line is denoting a separate and individual user. Okay, each and every line is denoting a separate user. Okay, so these users are actually pre-made, already made. When you install the system, your system by itself make those users. Okay, now the user which you create will have a user ID that we call it as UID. That user ID will be mentioned in front of it, and that user ID, whatever user you are going to create, that users will have the user ID starting from 1001, that is 1001. Okay, so here we are seeing the number always will be greater than 1000. Whatever user you are going to create, that user will always have the number greater than 1000, and whatever user the system is going to create, that user, those user will always have the number less than 1000. Now here I'm seeing proxy. This user was my first user, so it is having 1000 as a UID and 1003 as a group ID, GID, that we call it as GID. And here Splunk, I have also installed the Splunk. So Splunk was made by me, made from my side, so it has the user ID as 1001 and the GID as 1004. Okay, as moving further, test, we have created test. So now here this user have 1005 and GID as 1005. Now test1 also have what? UID 1006 and group ID as 1006. Same. Now coming to the creation of group, how you can create a group. To create a user, you were using command as add user. Now to create a group, you are going to use a command as add group, right? So we'll type it as add group, and then you have to press, and then you have to type test group. We'll give it a name as test group, test gr. Okay, we'll give it a name as test gr. But when I hit enter, it will going to give me an error. What error? Only root may add user or group to the system. So what we have to do? We have to add sudo in front of it. Sudo, enter. The group has been added. And what is the GID? Group ID is 1007. How you can get the list of all the groups? Simply catting the file cat/etc/group. You will get all the list of group present over your system. Then you have to press enter. And yes, all the list of the groups are on your screen. See, from here till the end. Now, one thing you may have noticed, test is also here, test1 is also here, but we haven't created a group of name test and test1. The thing is that the moment when you create a user with the same name, a group is also created by default. By default, with the name, whatever name you are, whatever user you are creating with the name, with the same name, a group is also being created in your system by default. Okay, so by default, that particular user is a member of his own group. Clear? Now coming to the next part, how we can add a particular user to a group. Now what is a group? A group is a bunch of, is a collection, is a set of users. Okay, a group is a set of users which is having some kind of permissions. We can set a permission to bunch of users at a time. Let's say a group is having 4 users in it, so we want to give all the 4 users as a read write permission, so we can give read write permission to that particular group. So ultimately those users, those 4 users, will also get that permissions implemented. So that's why group is needed for giving the permission in bunch to the users. For a file, we use this group system. So here is our group. Currently no user is present inside this particular group. Now we are going to add a group user inside a group. How we can add? So what we are doing, we are modifying a particular user, right? Command we are going to use user mod -a and then space -g. Now I'm going to explain you what do I mean by -a and -g. Then I have to type test gr, in which group I want to add the particular user, that is test gr. Then which user I want to add? Let's say test user I want to add into test group. So this is the command user mod -a. I'll take it to the upper side. Okay, user mod -a -g test gr and then test group name, username. Okay, then you have to press enter, but it will give me error. Why? Because I haven't added sudo. Why? What it is giving? Permission denied. So I'll just add a sudo in front of it. Sudo user modification -a -g testgr test. Enter, and it has been added. I'll just check how to cross check. Cat etc/group. Like this, you can cross check the user which you have added into it. Okay, enter. So as you can see over here, test user has been added to test group. Okay, now again I'll add test one user into it. Enter. Simply I have to do like this. Now I'm going to check the file again. So test one has been added successfully. Okay, now I'll create one more group. Add group test gr1. Okay, enter. Okay, I have to add sudo. Enter. So it has been added. I'll just cat the thing. Cat group group. Yes, and test gr1 has been added as well. Now I'm going to add a particular test user into test gr1. Now see what will happen. User mod, I'll just add sudo in front of it. User mod. Now this time I'm not going to specify -a flag. -g flag specifies I'm going to add a particular user to a group. Okay, -g specifies this thing. Now I'm going to type the test gr1, the group name, and then test username. Enter. Now let's check what has happened. /etc/group. See, the test user has been added to test gr1 group, but it has been removed from this test gr group, the previous group. It has been removed from that group. Now what does that -a means? -a means you have to add that user. Let's check here. This was the command. So what does this command is saying? You have to add this user to this group, but without removing it from other group. If it is present in other group, then don't remove it from the other group. Just add that, just append that particular user to this group. So now if I again execute this command, so it will not remove it from test gr1. It will add this test1 to this test gr group. Now let's check, enter. Let's cat the file /etc group, enter. So it has, okay, test1 we have done. I'll just do it as test. Now let's check, yes. Now test group, test user has been added to test GR. So this was just a basic fundamental of how to add a user, how to create a user, how to create group, how to add a user inside a group. Now what we are going to do, we are going to play with file ownership. Okay, so let's long list it. I'll just move inside desktop. Let's check what is here. I'll just create a directory mkdir matrixploit cd matrixploit. Okay, here it is having, we are having nothing. So I'll just create some files, touch file, and I'll create in bulk. So like this, txt, enter. Yes, I have created 5 files in one go. Now what we are going to do, in the previous class I have explained you this thing. This is the owner of the file and this is the group of the file. So we are going to change the owner of the file and group of the file. So the command is chown, and then you have to give which owner you want to give, which user you want to give to this file. So I want to give test and then file name, file1.txt, enter. This also needs the root permission. Why? Now the thing is that you are giving a file, you are changing a file, you are changing the owner of a file and giving it to someone else. You are changing the ownership and giving it to someone else. But that user, you are modifying something with that user. That user is getting something to under its control. So at that time also you are manipulating other users. So at that time you will need the root user access. So I have to execute this command with sudo. So now it has added, the owner has been changed, test has been added over here. Now we are going to change for group. Now we are going to change the group of this particular file. How I can change? chown, then I have to specify colon, then I have to type which group I want to add. Let's say test gr. Okay, space and then file1.txt, right? Enter. Again I will need sudo. Yes, now it has been added, ls space -l, and the user, the owner has been changed to test and the group has been changed to test gr. Now let's say I will change the permission of the particular group. Now whatever permission I'm going to give to this group, the middle part is the group one, right? And the first part, first 3 things are for this particular user, and this last 3 permissions are for others. Whoever other users are, they will have this permission. Now I'm going to change the permission of group only. So I'll use chmod g and then r is there. So I want to add permissions like write permission I want to add, space file1.txt, enter. I'll just make it to sudo and enter. ls space -l, read and write. Write permission has been added to this particular file. So this was your complete video of how to create a user, how to add a user to a group, how to change the owner of a file, how to change the group of a file, everything related to file, and how to create users and manipulating with the users and all. So that's it for today. Meet you in the next session.